The shock was immediate and undeniable. Why? In the middle of a global schedule that had been carefully planned, were only Jin and Jungkook abruptly sent back to Korea while the other members remained abroad? This sudden separation has ignited questions not only among fans but also within the group itself, with murmurs suggesting that even the remaining members were left puzzled by the decision. The atmosphere surrounding this unexpected move is tense, charged with speculation, and filled with unanswered questions that demand clarity. What could possibly justify sending only 2 members home, and why specifically these 2? The image of Jin and Jungkook making their way through the airport, surrounded by heightened security, contrasted starkly with the absence of the rest of the group. Observers could not ignore the symbolism. 2 figures, visibly marked by their importance, moving back to Seoul while the world speculated on the motive. It is not merely about logistics, it is about meaning. Why were these 2 chosen? Why at this exact moment? The questions hang in the air, heavy and urgent, as though pointing to a deeper narrative hidden beneath the surface. Inside the group itself, according to sources close to the situation, the decision sparked quiet but unmistakable surprise. Members who had grown accustomed to moving as a united front found themselves confronted with a rare fracture. For a group celebrated worldwide for their unity, the separation carried a weight far beyond travel plans. It was a rupture, however temporary, that raised more questions than answers. Was it for personal reasons? Was it tied to responsibilities at home? Or was there a larger, strategic calculation at play, one that only those at the highest level could fully comprehend? The moment becomes even more dramatic when considering Jin's position. As the eldest member, his movements often carry symbolic resonance. Sending him back to Korea, accompanied only by Jungkook, the youngest, invites interpretations that range from symbolic gesture to strategic necessity. The contrast between age and youth, the bookends of the group's lineup, could not be more striking. Was this a coincidence, or a deliberate choice meant to communicate something unspoken? The visual itself was powerful enough to spark theories among both fans and analysts. The group's schedule abroad had not indicated any such abrupt shift, which only heightened the sense of shock. Why disrupt an international agenda that had been planned with precision? To single out Jin and Jungkook suggests urgency, an element of necessity that overrides convenience. And yet, even with that urgency, silence dominated the scene. No explanations were given. No context was offered. What remained was only the sight of 2 members boarding flights home, leaving the rest to continue without them. That silence, more than anything, fuels the tension now enveloping the entire situation. Within the fan community, discussions exploded almost instantly. Questions multiplied, speculation spiraled, and emotions ran high. Some argued that Jin's seniority and Jungkook's role as the youngest formed a dual symbol, a representation of the group's breadth. Others pointed to possible obligations awaiting them in Korea, obligations that could not be postponed. Still others read it as a signal of a looming shift in priorities, a reminder that nothing within the world of global stardom remains static for long. In each interpretation, however, one theme was constant. This was no ordinary decision. Equally intriguing is the reaction attributed to the remaining members. Reports suggest that even among them, confusion lingered. For a team whose movements are typically synchronized, the sudden disruption was jarring. The sense of unity that has been the backbone of their journey seemed temporarily disrupted. Observers noted subtle shifts in body language, brief exchanges, and moments of hesitation that betrayed the undercurrent of questioning within the group itself. What were they told? How much did they know? Or were they, too, left waiting for answers that never arrived? The dual image of Jin and Jungkook, one embodying maturity and experience, the other youth and energy, created an unintentional but powerful narrative of contrast. As they stepped away from the international spotlight to return home, fans could not help but wonder whether this was a transitional moment. Was it a prelude to something larger? Was it a decision made out of protection or out of preparation? The lack of official clarification only deepens the mystery, amplifying both the emotional response and the analytical debate. Tension rises further when one considers the timing. The decision came at a point when the group's momentum was surging globally, with international appearances drawing significant attention. Why then, at the height of visibility, would such a split occur? Every aspect of the group's movements is typically designed with precision, making this disruption feel less like an accident and more like a deliberate act. That deliberate nature is precisely what fuels the sense of unease. If deliberate, then it must carry meaning. But what meaning? And why keep it hidden? What cannot be denied is the emotional impact on those watching. For the fans, the sight of Jin and Jungkook walking apart from the others was jarring, almost unsettling. For the members themselves, it was a moment that tested their sense of unity. And for analysts, it became a puzzle that demands explanation. Was it a matter of health? Was it tied to strategic positioning back in Korea? Or was it an unprecedented move signaling a shift that no one had anticipated? Each possibility carries its own weight, its own implications, and none can be dismissed outright. In the absence of direct answers, what remains are the questions themselves, reverberating with urgency. Why only Jin and Jungkook? Why return to Korea now? What does this mean for the future of the group's activities, both at home and abroad? These questions do not merely linger. They dominate the narrative, overshadowing other headlines and placing the spotlight squarely on this unexpected decision. The weight of silence only amplifies the significance of the move, leaving fans, analysts, and even members caught in a web of uncertainty. As the story continues to unfold, one reality becomes increasingly clear. This is no trivial matter. The return of Jin and Jungkook to Korea, while the others remain behind, is a decision that reshapes the dynamics of perception, unity, and anticipation. It is not merely about logistics, nor is it simply about travel. It is about symbolism, strategy, and the unspoken weight of choices made at the highest levels. Until answers emerge, the mystery remains intact, the questions multiply, and the tension continues to build, ensuring that this moment will not be forgotten easily.